Hey guys, this is the More Graphing Inequalities assignment walkthrough video. So for this assignment, we are solving the inequalities. You're showing me your work, you're putting a snippet in your slides, and then you're graphing it on the number line as well. Okay, you can show me your work in a screenshot, you can show me your work on paper and insert a picture, whatever you like, as long as I can see your work and I can see your graph. So our first problem is x minus 4 is greater than negative 8. And we're going to solve this just like we would an equation. The one rule that we have to be careful of when we're solving inequalities is if our variable is being multiplied or divided by a negative number, our sign is going to flip. But in this case, I only see a minus 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. There is no multiplication or division involved, so I don't have to worry about our sign flipping. So I'm going to try to isolate this variable x. I'm still going to draw my line down. I don't have to worry about my sign flipping. I'm going to do the opposite of what I see happening to my variable. I see this minus 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0, so that's why you see us crossing it out, because it equals 0. We don't need to write that. X is greater than negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4, because it's more negative. So x is greater than negative 4. Now, how are we going to graph this on our number line? So this is our work. You can graph using your pen, your snippet, a pencil, if you're doing this on paper, on a number line, or you can go and you can drag these open and closed points and the arrow. So whatever is easiest for you. I'm going to just do this on my screen with my pen. Remember that the closed point is going to be for greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. That's this closed point. The open point is going to be for greater than and less than. So we're going to use an open point because our answer is x is just greater than negative 4. So open point on negative 4. Okay, that means it does not include negative 4. And all the numbers that are greater than negative 4 are going over here to the right. There's the answer to slide 3. So this was just a one-step inequality. All right, this is also one-step inequality, so it shouldn't be too tough. We're going to do the same thing. Be mindful of our one inequality rule. If you see our variable being multiplied or divided by a negative number, our sign is going to flip. But again, this one is just plus 12, so we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. 12 minus 12 is 0, so our x is going to drop down. Our sign is going to stay the same, less than this time. 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Now, I know I'm going through this pretty quickly, but this is a video, so you can rewatch it to hear what I say. And hopefully you've tried all of these problems already, and you're just kind of checking your work, or you're looking at the problems that are a little bit more difficult. So once we get to those two-step ones, I won't go as fast, but we should be pretty proficient with solving one-step inequalities at this point. So this is x is less than negative 2. So we're going to use an open point on negative 2, because it can't be negative 2. It's all the numbers less than, which are over here to the left side. All the numbers smaller than negative 2. All right. Negative 2x is greater than or equal to negative 16. Remember, when you see something side by side like this, that is multiplication. When you have a variable with a coefficient, okay, that is multiplication. So we do need to make sure and check for our rule. If you see your variable being multiplied or divided by a negative number, our sign is going to flip. So this is multiplication, and it is a negative number. It's a negative 2. So our sign is going to flip. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to circle my variable. When I draw my line down, I'm going to go ahead and flip my sign so that I don't do all this work and then forget to flip my sign and then get it wrong. If you miss the sign flip, you're automatically going to get it wrong. You're going to do a lot of work for no reason because you're going to get it wrong. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip my sign. And now I'm going to solve this like an equation. This is times negative 2. So I'm going to do the inverse operation on both sides, which is divide by negative 2. Now, negative 2 divided by negative 2, the reason we can scratch this out is not because it's 0, is because it equals 1. And when we have a single x, we don't need to write 1. We just have 1x. Is less than now or equal to negative 16 divided by negative 2 is a positive 8. This time when we graph this, because it's greater than or equal to, has that equal to line, we're going to use a closed point on 8. Where are all the numbers that are less than? Where are all the numbers that are less than or equal to 8? Over here to the left. I can't remember if I said greater than last time. It was greater than, now it's less than, because our sign flipped. Okay, let's keep going. This time we have a fraction, and anytime you see a fraction, you need to know that that is division that's happening. Okay, so we want to solve for our x, check our rule because there's division. If you see your variables being multiplied or divided by a negative number, our sign is going to flip. This is division, but it is not a -3. Even though this 3 is negative, you're looking to see what's happening to your variable. So because this divided by 3 is positive, this is a +3, then we're not going to flip our sign. Okay, it doesn't matter what this number is. It's what's happening on the same side as your variable. Okay, it's always about your variable. All right, so draw my line. My sign is not going to flip. If you want to, you can go ahead and write this down. Same symbol. Okay, less than or equal to. This is x divided by 3, so I'm going to multiply 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 here. So what happens here, well, you multiply straight across and you end up with 3 over 3, which is still 1x. And -3 times a +3 is going to be a -9. Because this is less than or equal to, it has that equal to sign on the bottom. It includes that number, so we're going to show that with a close point on -9. All the numbers that are less than. So we're going to the left. All right, here we go. Now we have a two-step problem. I see a lot more numbers. Follow the same steps. Here's y. Draw a line down. Check out what's happening to your y. There's a fraction, so it's being divided by a -2. Remember, if you multiply or divide, if your variable is being multiplied or divided by a negative, what's going to happen? Your sign's going to flip. So I'm going to go ahead and prep my sign. Go ahead and flip this so I don't forget. And then we also have this -7 that we're going to get rid of. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this -7 first by doing the inverse operation, which is adding 7 to both sides. Most times you are going to add and subtract first when you're solving these two-step inequalities or equations. The only time, remember, is if you see a really big fraction or if you see a number outside of parentheses. Then you're going to go ahead and get rid of that number. Otherwise, you're always going to add and subtract first. -7 plus 7 is 0, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to drop down this y over -2. -11 plus 7 is -4. Okay. One more step. This is y divided by -2, so I'm going to multiply times -2. Oops, negative. Okay, that's 1. So we're left with y is greater than or equal to -4 times -2 is a +8. So here's my answer. Box it off so you can see it. Y is greater than or equal to. So which point are we going to use? Close point, because it can be 8. Y is greater than or equal to 8. It can be equal to 8, or it could be any number larger. Next problem, two-step again. We have this +4. Remember, side by side like this is multiplication. Our y is being multiplied by a negative number, which is going to cause my symbol to flip. So instead of less than or equal to, it becomes greater than or equal to. Going to go ahead and flip it so I don't forget. We're going to get rid of this +4 by doing the opposite on both sides. 6 minus 4 is 2. And I'm going to drop this -2y down. This is multiplication, so I'm going to divide by -2. And remember, nowadays we show our division with a fraction. We're not going to see this symbol anymore for division. We're going to draw a fraction. -2 divided by -2 is 1, so you're left with 1y. Sorry, I drew this so close. 2 divided by -2 is a -1. Okay, I'm going to circle this so you can see my answer. I didn't leave myself enough space for my work. Y is greater than or equal to -1. Okay, is that going to be an open point or a closed point? Close point on -1 because y is greater than or equal to. It could be 1, -1, or it could be anything greater. Okay, remember this is a video. You can pause it, look at my work, make sense of it. You can rewind it, listen to me explain it again. Hopefully I'm not going too fast and that this is helping you. All right, couple more. Our variable is on the other side, so you're going to see what we do to combat that. Still two-step. This time I don't see any negatives. It is being multiplied by that 3. Our variable is being multiplied by 3, but it's not a negative, so I don't have to worry about anything. Our sign's going to stay the same so far. Let's go ahead and solve this. Going to get rid of this 18 first by subtracting 18 on both sides. 12 minus 18, you're taking away more than you have, so this is going to be a -6. And a 3y over here. This is multiplication, so I'm going to divide using my fraction. We're going to divide by 3, because that is the opposite of times 3. Okay, and then you're left with, let me draw my symbol down here, y on the right. -6 divided by 3 is a -2. All right, let's talk about this real quick. Our variable is on the other side. And our graph is always about y. It's not about this -2. It's always about what could y be. So when you're graphing this, you want it to really, you're graphing all the numbers that y could be. And it's difficult to read this problem and reason what y could be if y is not coming first, because we always read from left to right. So I'm going to rewrite this. -2 is greater than or equal to y. So what does that mean for y? Let's rewrite this. That means y, if -2 is greater than, that means y is less than. Okay, so y is less than or equal to -2. That's how we rewrite this. Now, if we flip these numbers, okay, if we flip the order between y and -2, if you flip it, your symbol is also going to flip, because no matter what, it's going to be opening up towards the larger number in both cases. You see this first one, the pink one? -2 is larger because the sign is opening up towards it, right? It's being eaten. But if we flip it, it's -2 is still going to be larger. We're still talking about the same inequality. So -2 will still be eaten when we flip it. Okay, so if you flip-flop your numbers, you switch them around, also switch the direction of your sign. And now this is something that we are used to plotting. We are used to putting this on the number line. So let's do it. Y is less than or equal to -2. Sorry, I didn't mean to write that little check mark there. So we're going to put a close point on -2. Close because it's or equal to. Where are all the numbers that are less than that? Over here on the left. Okay? So this is a two-step problem, but if you ever find yourself with your variable on the wrong side, on the right, I would switch it, because I think this is easier to read and to plot. You might accidentally draw your arrow pointing to the right for this one, for those of you guys who use that little arrow trick. All right, last one. Draw our line. X divided by -4. Our sign's going to flip. Go ahead and flip it so you don't forget. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this -12 by doing the inverse operation, which is +12. Then we have x over -4 is less than -12 plus 12 is 0. Okay, our variable is being divided by -4, so I'm going to multiply times the -4 times -4. Okay, we're left with x. Remember, our sign flipped. 0 times -4 is 0. So here is my answer. I don't know why I drew my, I don't even know where the eraser is. I don't know why I drew my 0 so high. X is less than 0. It's just less than 0, so it doesn't include 0. So we're going to have an open point at 0. And all the numbers that are less than, let me rewrite this, less than 0. All the numbers that are less than 0 are over here on the negative side. Okay, I hope that helped. Bye, guys.